Hello friends, this is Shivam Dubey from English Kingdom, Katra, Prayagraj. Welcome to the class. We are continue with our study of John Dryden, and as we have planned to complete Dryden today, we will do it. Actually, there are 4 works for our discussion today, and for that we have to go through a very short question session, and that will cover around 10 minutes only, because the aim is to complete these questions easily. And these 4 parts, especially not all the poems, most of the themes are very much similar that we are going to discuss. But yeah, actually, as I have already told you, that the essay of dramatic poesy is going to be something important for us, for our discussion. So without any more delay, we have to move to the question session. And here is my first question. What's the name of the poet who attacked the medal of John Dryden except Thomas Shadwell? What's the name of the poet who attacked the medal of John Dryden except Thomas Shadwell? Okay, so waiting for your reply. Oh, no, dear, it's not Andrew Marvell, dear. The question is who attacked? Okay, so right answer, starting here with Mandeep. Nice to see you, Mandeep, in the class. And it's Kalpana and Khushbu. They have answered it correct, that it is Samuel Pordage. That's a good one. Samuel Pordage had been the next poet who wrote a poem entitled, that was the medal reversed, and that work had been an attack on John Dryden. What was the title of the poem that was written as an attack on John Dryden's The Medal by Thomas Shadwell? What was the name of the poem that was an attack on John Dryden's poem, The Medal? Okay, so the answer is starting here with Anjali, followed by Mandeep and Khushbu and Kalpana with Pratima. The Medal of John Baez. John Baez is the title that had been given by Thomas Shadwell attacking John Dryden. What's the name of the poet whose life was attacked by Andrew Marvell in his poem that inspired John Dryden to write Make Fleck Nose? What's the name of the poet who was attacked by attacked by Andrew Marvell? No, Kalpana, try to understand the question. What's the name of the poet who was attacked by Andrew Marvell and that inspired John Dryden to write Mac Flecknoe? The name of the poet, and we'll find answers. That's going to be Yeah, right answer is starting with Anjali, followed by VL, Akanksha, Kalpana. Okay, Mandeep, Pratima, Sarita, Anjali. Okay, Anjali. So Pooja, God bless you, Pooja. Neeraj, they have answered it correct that it is Richard. Richard Flecknoe, who was attacked by Andrew Marvell. Okay, when did John Dryden start serving? When did John Dryden start serving Thurlow, the secretary of Oliver Cromwell? When did John Dryden start serving under Thurlow, the secretary of Oliver Cromwell? Okay, we have some answers on the screen, and yeah, exactly, it's starting with Mandeep, and that's the right answer. 1654, after completing his graduation, started serving. And now it's Kalpana and Khushbu with Mamta. They have all answered it correct. That 1654 is the right answer with Jyoti and Mamta and Sarita. Now I'll move to the next. What's the name of the work by John Dryden that has the line, "A name to all succeeding ages cursed"? A name to all succeeding ages cursed. Which work of John Dryden has the line, "A name to all succeeding ages cursed"? Waiting for your answer. Which work of John Dryden has the answer, has the line actually, "A name to all succeeding ages cursed"? No Kalpana, no Anjali. Be careful. Oh no, it seems like you guys are playing puzzle. It's not puzzle. Concentrate. Okay, so the right answer is here from Mandeep, Jyoti, Akanksha, Absalom, and Achitophel. The second line I taught you in the class. Of these, the false Achitophel was first, "A name to all succeeding ages cursed." That's the introductory couplet we studied while studying Absalom and Achitophel, and you will have to be very careful. Okay, when was Mac Flecknoe written? When was Mac Flecknoe written? When was Mac Flecknoe written? Okay, we find right answers on the screen with Kalpana, Anjali, Mandeep bhai, what is that? Just take your answer. Okay, Akanksha, Jyoti, Khushbu, Mandeep, Anjali, That's good. Mamta, BL, Neeraj, and Mandeep with Akanksha. That's a good one. So they all have answered it correct, that it was 1678, the time of its being written, and 1682, the time of its publication. What are the party, or what is the name of the party that was represented by Thomas Shadwell? What was the party that was represented by Thomas Shadwell? Okay, we go with the answers, and here is the answer from Kalpana, Anjali, Mandeep, BL, Jyoti, Khushbu, Mamta, Akanksha, Neeraj. They all answered it correct. Now I'll move to the last question of the day. Who considered himself to be the heir of Ben Jonson? Okay, see the right answer is here, starting with Khushbu, and now it's Anjali, Ritu, Mandeep, Kalpana, Akanksha, BL. Oh, BL bhai, check the answer. Valsarita, Neeraj, Anjali, and oh, no, Ben Jonson himself is there, beta. Don't mention here, Mamta. So they all answered it correct, that it was Thomas Shadwell who considered himself to be an heir of Ben Jonson in Comedy of Humors. I think last day when I was teaching you, I clarified that the two great scholars of the same time, so it was John Dryden and Thomas Shadwell, had some conflict over the kind of comedy that should be favored there. And John Dryden favored restoration comedy, that's a comedy of manner, and Ben Jonson's comedy of humor, was favored by Thomas Shadwell, and that's why the two had been always literary rivals in their life. Okay, now I'll move to the topic Religio Laici. Okay, Religio Laici means religion of common people. Religio is religion and Laici is for common people. Actually, this work was a response to Richard Simon. He was Father Richard Simon. Actually, Richard Simon related to Roman Catholic. I told you that the whole England was going through this phase of religious conflict, where some of them believed in Protestantism and some of them believed in Catholicism. Remember, John Dryden is not a Catholic. He will accept Catholicism after 1685 or the succession of James II. This work appeared actually in 1682. It means John Dryden favored the ideas of common religion, and that's why when Richard Simon wrote Histoire Critique du Vieux, you can write down the name of the book, Histoire Critique Critique du Vieux. This was the work of Father Richard Simon, and in this work he praised Roman Catholic and criticized Protestant. Criticized Protestants or attacked a Protestant. Remember, this religion was the religion of common people. And this religion, Roman Catholic, was actually the religion of highly seated people like most of the rulers. And I have told you that Catholic is the original of Christianity. Like from this Catholicism, it seems that the Christianity starts. Okay? So this pattern of Roman Catholic finds a space in Simon's work, that's Histoire Critique du Vieux, and this actually angered John Dryden to go for the answer to this work. So this work, Religio Laici, is a response to this work. This work was responded or attacked by John Dryden in this work of his, and tried to reply that the main religion is the religion of common people, and the main religion has a duty to serve people, not to be served by people. To serve people. Religion means a kind of servant. The duty of religion is to show the right path to the people living here, not to be misleading them, not to be troubling them. And if this Roman Catholicism was seen, it was creating problem in the life of common people. It was not the religion for common people. So this is why this Religio Laici was a good meditation of John Dryden that he wrote in heroic couplets. Heroic couplets were used in the poem, and it took the length of the line to be 462. 462 lines are there in the poem. It's a lengthy one on this religious thought. Okay, in this he has discussed on deism as well. You know, deism is a religion of ration. Religion of ration. Okay, one has to question, one has to analyze if God is there or not. Whatever according to his views he finds, he will trust in. See the problem, Roman Catholic ideas, the ideas that we are discussing, they don't allow us to be questioning. They don't allow to be putting some question mark to the beliefs. And this idea gives no doubt they have faith in their God, but this faith should not be a blind faith. Instead, there should be question, and according to question, there should be some replies. Now we'll move to the next work of John Dryden. So, main point about Religio Laici is its publication, its writing pattern, and especially whom John Dryden responded. So it was Richard Simon. Which work he responded, that is historic critic Dubey. And what was his view? His view was to present the common religion, means Protestant is not, because the two were actually praising. Here Richard Simon was praising his Roman Catholic. What he thought, that Roman Catholic was the original religion, and a pupil can get salvation only if they study this, or only if they are going to accept this religion. God or Jesus will be there for their help. And the second way, when we go for the second way, it was Protestant, that was supposed to be the religion of common people, because that didn't force anybody to go church and pay something for visiting church and get salvation. So somewhere this was supposed to be the religion of common people. Here John Dryden is still backing up the Protestant ideas, but later on we will see, after his being changed or after his religious changing, we will have some point where he will highlight the quality of Roman Catholic, and that we are going to study the hymn and the panther. I must tell you that the hymn and the panther is a work that is a production of his conversion, means he converted himself into Roman Catholic, and most probably under the influence of James II in 1685. Being a Roman Catholic, now he has to write something in praise of Roman ideas, and this is supposed to be a beast fable. Beast fable. We all know that fable is a kind of moral story that most of the time is presented with the characters animal, like panther and hen. Both are animal, And if a fable is narrated with animal, the favorite form is beast fable. Okay, like sometimes for animal form by George Orwell we apply this term. So this work of John Dryden is considered to be a beast fable. You can match the timing. Religio Leci was written in 1682 and this work appeared after 5 years in 1687. Just a year before Glorious Revolution. Actually, what John Dryden thought, that the grip of James over the rule of his country is very strong and he can make anything possible. He can make anything possible, and that's what, in support of Roman Catholic. Remember, this work, the Hind and the Panther, was written in the support of Roman Catholic, and Religio Leci was written in the support of Protestant. So the two works are different in their temperament. Well, it was published by Jacob Tonson. The work was published by Jacob Tonson. Jacob Tonson was the publisher of The Hind and the Panther. And the whole book was divided in 3 parts. 3 parts of the book is there. The book is divided into parts and the parts are in 3. Okay, it is supposed to be possibly the longest work of John Dryden with almost 2600 lines. 2600 lines. In poetry, it is supposed to be the longest work of John Dryden in poetry with 2600 lines. Okay, there are some opinion of the scholars on this, and this happens with Margaret Dubey. Margaret Dubey. What was the view of Margaret Dubey? Please write down. The great, undeniable, comma, sui generis, S-U-I, sui generis, poem of the Restoration era, poem of the Restoration era, after space, it is its own kind. It is its own kind of poem, comma, it cannot be repeated. It cannot be repeated, within bracket, and no one has repeated it, and no one has repeated it, close inverted comma and close bracket. Okay, so we'll see what Margaret Dubey had the opinion about this poem is a kind of masterpiece. Means no one has actually ever wrote or ever written a kind of poem that can be discussing the difference between the two great religion or two leading religion of England or English society, the then. And John Dryden did it. And with such fearlessness he did it. With so much impartiality he did it, that if the work is supposed to be, it is of its own kind, so it doesn't seem to be a hyperbole. The poem seems to be very, very much similar to its nature, similar to its treatment, and similar to its thought. So appreciation goes to the treatment and handling of the theme. It's not that sometimes you write this one, but the main thing is, like you see, the word is used like deniable, undeniable. You cannot deny this work for its being masterpiece. Sometimes you write the same thing. How many poets have written the theme of fall of man from heaven or paradise, but nobody could parallel with Paradise Lost of John Milton. So not only theme, but lots of things are there, including characterization, setting, treatment, writing style, selection of the words, and presentation style. Lots of things are there. Accordingly, Margaret Dubey think that it is almost impossible for any poet of any era after John Dryden to try to write a poem so much important like the Hin and the Panther. There was another opinion that came from Dr. Samuel Johnson. Dr. Samuel Johnson. Dr. Samuel Johnson. Alexander Pope used to refer to the Hin and the Panther, to refer to the Hin and the Panther as the most correct example of Dryden's versification. Okay. Well, what is this? John Dryden has written, no doubt, and is the master of writing style, or I may say he is the master of artistic style. But when it comes to Alexander Pope, he has praised very few literary persons and very few literary works. He has praised very few literary persons and he praised very few literary persons. And John Dryden was one of them who have been praised by him. And especially the word is like correct. You know, Alexander Pope in poetry followed the rules of versification very strictly. And this is why it's a few time he could find any poet being successful in presenting the quality of versification or the artistic feature of versification. When he studied the Hind and the Panther of John Dryden, he could see the quality of this poem is really a high quality. And this high quality was visible in his hand when he could handle these themes properly. So this is how he praised. Even Dr. Samuel Johnson praised the poem. And he has praised the poem for its smoothness of ideas. Dr. Samuel Johnson himself has praised this poem for its smoothness of ideas. It has the wide range of the knowledge of John Dryden and use of his meter, feet, syllable, and exactly the images that were used. But there were some opinion from the next, that is from Pryor and Montague. Pryor and Montague. About the uses of image in the poem, they have their own statement from Pryor and Montague. The scheme of the work is injudicious, injudicious, injurious, and incommodious, incommodious, semicolon. For what can be more absurd than that one beast should counsel another to rest her faith upon a pope and council. Well, we can easily understand. The poem is an effort to glorify Roman Catholicism. And for this, John Dryden could take the image of the two beasts. One is hind and the next is panther. If the panther and hind are discussing over the serious issues like religion, it seemed to Pryor and Montague a ridiculous and absurd matching of the ideas. How can it be possible for the two animals and one of the two animals to be advising the next to show faith in the religion, especially the faith is Roman faith, Roman Catholic faith, where Pope is important, where council is important, where church is important, where the prayers of the morning in the church are important. This seemed to be very, very ridiculous and full of absurdity as an idea from a great poet like John Dryden. Exactly when it comes to Sir Walter Scott, he himself was of some opinion that the poem cannot be one of the finest example of Beast fable. It was Sir Walter Scott. Sir Walter Scott didn't find the work that Sir Walter Scott didn't find it more satisfactory, but one thing that he praised again was the versification of the poem. I told you, if Alexander Pope is going to appreciate some piece for its versification, be sure of its high quality. So even Walter Scott could find that the beauty of the piece is its versification, its smoothness, like Dr. Samuel Johnson himself believed that the smoothness of ideas, the smoothness of the meter are something that's noteworthy. So is about from Walter Scott as well. But he didn't find it to be one of the very finest example of the Beast fable. No doubt, very few times we also discuss, because whenever the discussion is on the Beast fable, it is animal form that we discuss. Very few time we go to it. Otherwise, we have some examples like from Geoffrey Chaucer as well. If you remember, the Parliament of Fowls. Even the Parliament of Fowls can be another example of the Beast fable, because the animals are discussing and giving the idea of freedom of will. So that's something important. So is about this one, but it's not one of the finest. That's what Walter Scott accepted, but he praised the metric quality of the poem. The next is William Hazlitt. William Hazlitt, the next poet, and his view. The poem has more genius, comma, vehemence, and strength of description, than any other of Dryden's work. Okay, what he says, that the genius and vehemence and strength of description, these are the qualities, means no doubt over the genius of John Dryden when he wrote this piece, and there is no actually doubt over the strength of its thought. I told you that he could make a balance, how much to criticize, how much to actually, he himself was in a kind of dual ideas, I must say. What was dual idea? Just 5 years back he wrote Religio Laici and he appreciated the religion of common people. Now after 5 years he is writing The Hind and the Panther, and he will support the idea of Roman Catholic. The two ideas are contradictory, but he didn't want that his own work should sound contradictory to his other work. This is why he tried to make balance, and I must say this is the strength of this work. If the thought is considered for this work, the balance of the thought comes just because of his both experiences. Experience of common people's religion and experience of upper class people religion, and he cannot criticize heartily his own religion, his own people, and he cannot go against the religion he just accepted 2 years back in 1685, and still there was the rule of King James II. Now Dryden is changing. Now Dryden is changing means he himself is bored of these switching and opportunism and a lot of things that happened in his life, for which he was criticized. And now he will determine to go with something that's balanced, something that's highly qualified. And this is what we see here in this work, and that's why William Hazlitt himself has praised it. The next is Lord Macaulay. Lord Macaulay is one of the historians and a great thinker as well, and he was against the Whig ideas. Against Whig. And so was John Dryden. You remember? John Dryden himself was against the Whig ideas. Okay, what he wrote, please write down. In none of Dryden's work, in none of Dryden's works can be found passages more pathetic and magnificent, greater ductility, ductility, and energy of language, or a more pleasing and various music, Okay. Music means versification. Various music, that shows the craftsmanship of John Dryden. No doubt John Dryden and Lord Macaulay both had the distaste for Whigs, but you see that Macaulay himself was from these parties or parliament for some time. So there had been some conflict. But when it comes to appreciate John Dryden, what he found that actually Dryden was a master, and when it comes to his ideas beauty, no other work of John Dryden we will find the smoothness of ideas, smoothness of music, and strength of its language like he could do it in the Hind and the Panther. Almost a similar idea we find from George Sainsbury. George Sainsbury, his idea. The Hind and the Panther is the greatest poem ever written in the teeth of its subject. Okay. See, I told you that it was the not very smooth political condition of the country. One way, William of Orange was planning to attack the king. The second, the Parliament of England was against the monarchy or the rule of the king. And even the heir of, try to understand, even the heir of James II was just a young boy born. Means the two daughters he had, one that was Mary and the next was Anne. Anne was still young, Mary was grown up, the boy was just born. Means he himself had no clear heir for the throne. And in such critical condition, when there was almost, you can say, religious fanaticism was there. Means almost an idea was developed against Roman Catholic ruler. No doubt from the effort of Earl of Shaftesbury, if you remember, the exclusion bill. And then even I must say that John Dryden has also a role in making common religion popular or Protestant popular. But under the pressure or influence of James II, he could write it to defend Roman Catholic, but it was too late. But it was too late because the whole emotion of the country went against the Roman Catholic ruler. And this is why George Sainsbury thinks that in such a critical time and with such great balance of thought, if one could write such a poem, it's really the greatest piece. Because the time was not very favorable one. So this is why he praised it. Okay, now I'll move to the next, that's the Alexander's feast. Well, I must say that we all know that Alexander was the great warrior, Alexander the Great. And he wanted to be victorious of the world. When it comes to the thought, Dryden used this 1697 work of his as an ode. Means what we generally expect in ode is appreciation of the man who is mentioned. This feast means a celebration. I think some time ago I would have told you that the people of the then era used to go to battlefield, and whatever happens in the battlefield is sung by the bard. When they came back, they have their bard, and bard used to sing the whole thing of the battlefield, whatever happened there. And that's what was actually done by one of the singer on bard of Alexander, Timotheus. Timotheus was the bard or singer. Remember? Bard or singer of Alexander. And after the victory over Darius was defeated. The feast was given by Alexander the Great, and there is Timotheus, who sung a song. Actually, Timotheus was such a great admirer of Alexander that he called him to be God. Alexander was presented by Timotheus in his song as a god, and actually, with this, the glories and pride of Alexander are just puffed up, and there had been some boisterous events as well. Some boisterous events. If you understand boisterous, you can relate it with a farce. You know, farce is kind of literary work that has a boisterous laughter, or we call to be belly laughter, and sometimes there can be sexual remarks for such laughter. Means if Alexander was the god, how he can be or his emotions can be manipulated by a song of a singer, Timotheus. He could not control himself, and that's why the boisterous laughter just ruins the joy of this, and ultimately it becomes the more and more love theme when Thias had been mentioned. You know, Thais had been the lover of Alexander. Lover of Alexander. Thais. So he was mentioned in the poem, and we see that the heart of Alexander is melting and he becomes very, very normal liking, and that's how it is. The work becomes famous, and actually the whole poem is on Saint Cecilia. This must be mentioned, Saint Cecilia, celebration of Saint Cecilia. The poem celebrates the day of Saint Cecilia. We have to remember it. Okay, especially about Saint Cecilia, it is said that she was the inventress of the vocal frame. Inventress, not inventor. Inventress of the vocal frame. And it is supposed that with Saint Cecilia, the music of Christianity was created. Music of Christianity was created by Saint Cecilia with the vocal frame. Vocal frame, you know, something that can be produced with a sound as a music. So it was Saint Cecilia who could make an organ that can present the music, and it can be singing the music of Christianity and the crucifixion of Jesus. Okay, the concluding line of the poem should be mentioned here. The concluding line of the poem. Raised a mortal to the skies, raised a mortal to the skies, oblique, she drew an angel down, she drew an angel down. Okay, so what is that? See the point. Raise the mortal to the skies means with the help of the song of Saint Cecilia, the heaven music seems to be on the earth, and with that the angel like goddess of music, this organ pipe seem to be coming on this earth from the sky, and this is how this whole thing is described by him. Now I'll move to the next, and that is the essay of dramatic poesy. Well, this was almost modeled on the work of Sir Philip Sidney, The Defense of Poesy. So, Philip Sidney could write the defense of poesy. Here poetry was defended. Poetry was defended by Sir Philip Sidney, and now the dramatic poetry is to be defended. Can drama be written in verse? Because even when Shakespeare was writing, he wrote the works of his, but only two plays of Shakespeare, if you remember, King John and Richard II. Only these two plays of Shakespeare are entirely verse play or written in verse. Otherwise, Shakespeare himself was using the variety of the sources or variety of writing style and was presenting him with blank verse, sometimes prose, sometimes rhymed verse, means without strict rules. So the question was there, is there any role for poetry in drama? Is there any role for poetry in drama? This was question. So this work is no doubt an essay, but written with a dialogue pattern. Dialogue pattern, where we find that poetry should be justified in the drama as well, and the writing time of the work is not very obvious, but seems that the work was possibly written around 1666, but it was published in 1668. So 1666 is the writing time and 1668 is a publishing time. 1666 is the time of the Great London Fire, and if you remember that the theatres were closed due to Great Plague, again in 1665. These things actually let John Dryden consider the role of poetry in drama, and he could write some critical works. He has taken the four speakers in the poem. Four speakers. I told you that the poem is based on dialogue pattern, and the four speakers are there that you will go with the names like Crites, well, Crites will represent Sir Robert Howard. Sir Robert Howard. The second is Eugenius and Eugenius will represent the life or work of Charles Sackville. Charles Sackville. Charles Sackville will be presented by Eugenius in the poem. The next is Lacedaemon. Lacedaemon will be representing Charles Sedley. Charles Sedley. Charles Sedley. And the last will be Neander. And Neander is Dryden himself. This is question. Remember, many a time the question has been asked, which character from the work Essay of Dramatic Poesy represents Dryden? So remember, it is Neander. Neander presented the ideas of Dryden. So the four characters in the discussion are Crites, Eugenius, Lacedaemon, and Neander. They will be representing four people of England. One, the Robert Howard. The next is Charles Sackville, Charles Sedley, and John Dryden. Their discussion will be on the nature of poetry in drama. The discussion is entirely the nature of poetry in drama. Okay, please write down the first one, the merit of classical drama. It's a discussion. The merit of classical drama by Crites. Crites is representing the classical drama. And modern drama presented by Eugenius. Okay, the discussion is between the first part of the poem. It's a discussion between Crites and Eugenius. They will discuss which drama is more important. No doubt, earlier we have history and the placing of drama as a classical one. If you remember, there was a classical drama favored by Ben Jonson And after Ben Jonson, it was also continued by his heir, and that was Thomas Shadwell. But we knew that modern drama, according to Eugenius, was related to the drama of Restoration. Well, heroic plays or modern drama, the favorite drama of the then time, will be there equally balanced. So the discussion between Critias and Eugenius is a discussion between classical drama and modern drama. The two discuss it in the first part. The second is French drama, represented by Lycidius. Lycidius. Lycidius presents French drama. And Neander presents English drama. No doubt, I think I told you when we started the work that the source for the Restoration drama was the French drama, but after some time the scholars went for their local inspiration, and as we see, John Dryden is here backing English drama up, means he was supporting English drama, the English dramatist and their role, like Shakespeare did it, like Christopher Marlowe did it, okay? And in some conditions we can say the role of Ben Jonson, he didn't hate actually Ben Jonson. If you remember that he could follow Ben Jonson in some of his works, but he was not a blind follower. So he evaluated through the discussion with the Lycidius, and especially as I told you that he was supporter of the Shakespeare. So remember, he stated for Shakespeare, the greatest soul, he stated for Shakespeare, the greatest soul ancient or modern. Okay, now the two things are there. The next point, that's the discussion, is about rhymed couplet and blank verse. Well, right now it was Dryden who was writing in a rhymed couplet. Rhymed couplet means heroic couplet. And blank verse we already know. So there is a discussion between Neander means John Dryden, and Critias means Robert Howard, that which is more suitable form. And if you remember, Dryden could make a balance, but he didn't entirely criticize blank verse, because his masterpiece, All for Love, is written in blank verse. So the discussion is over which should be used here. Should be rhymed couplet in our work, should be blank verse in our work, and he could make a balance. Okay, actually Lycidius was from the French work. He supported rhymed couplet. Lycidius supported the rhymed couplets or rhymed plays. Okay. There are different discussions, like I told you, that Aristotle's unities are also discussed. If you remember, Aristotle has given three unities. And they are the unities of time, place, and action. So there is a discussion. What Eugenius thinks, Eugenius, is that the modern dramas are more lively, means they have more potential, they have more life in them. And John Dryden once again backed up Ben Jonson. He appreciated Ben Jonson because it was only Ben Jonson who was a classical dramatist of the era. And he could write following, Ben Jonson could write following the three unities, and his works are supposed to be the classical plays. If you remember, Ben Jonson is considered to be classical dramatist. Following the three unities means classical. Okay. Well, if you come to Aristotle, just one more point we will discuss. Aristotle said that a work of literature should be the close imitation of human life. What does that mean? Whatever is happening in the life is to be shown on the stage. Means no place for imagination. No place for imagination. Whatever is happening in society, see the life of kings and queens that happened in the then era, they were given place in a work. But now Critics especially thinks that these things should be changed, and it is audience that decides what theme should be presented on the stage. Now it is a time that the dramatists leave these realities of the society aside and go for something imagination. Means leaving the things that only the things that are happening in society should be presented on the stage. Now it needs a variety, it needs a variation. And with that, the work ends here. Means they decided to back up the new dramas. They didn't criticize the old one, but they don't go back from their steps, moving ahead and making themselves more and more modern. So that's all from me on John Dryden and his works. And this is how the Dryden's life is completed. So be ready for a test on John Dryden tomorrow. I will give you the time, and if you haven't sent your request for the badge on the app, must do it. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great time, great joy. Thank you.